Mitsubishi recently stepped up and offered a hardcore competitor to the Subaru WRX. There's a lot to like about the Rally Art Lancer, but if you've got $17,000 more to spend, you'll be a whole lot happier in an Evo. Someone who was a whole lot happier recently is CarAdvice road tester Albor's fella. What's the Evo like? It's got to be great.
Mate, it's one of my favourite cars of all time. The 10 is a little bit heavier than the 9, but you know what? It just goes absolutely ballistic. You can have that much fun in an Evo that you can in a $300,000 car. I think it's probably not as quick as it can be, but being the kind of car that it is, most people that buy it tend to go and spend a little bit more money on it to make it that extra bit quicker. But interestingly, handling-wise, it's idiot-proof. You can just go 100 k's an hour, throw it into a corner, and it'll stick to the ground and go for it. Not that you should do this. I think for 70 grand, if you want a hardcore performance car, you can't really look past the Evo.
Well, I think it's a pain-gain scenario, isn't it? There is a bit of pain involved in owning a car like that, and if you're a hardcore performance enthusiast, is there too much pain with an Evo, or is it just about right?
It depends. For me, it's just about right. For someone else, it might not be. The main difference is the Evo has this essentially the same interior as a $25,000 Lancer, which really lets it down. So they've spent all that money on the brakes, the performance, and the handling. I haven't driven a car under 100 grand that has got such exact steering feel as the Evo does.
So what don't you like, if anything, about Evo?
I think the interior is pretty dismal. For 70 grand or for 62 for the base, you are expecting a lot more, and I think that's what puts a lot of people off. I think the SSD gearbox is fantastic, but I would still buy a manual, because if you're going to buy a car that's that hardcore, you would probably enjoy it just a little bit more in a manual gearbox. And apart from that, I think there's not really much else I can say bad about the Evo. It's one of my favourite cars of all time.
So you're in the Mitsubishi dealership, you're negotiating, you've identified yourself as being in the market for a Rally Art Lancer. One of the key things they're going to try and do is upsell you into an Evo. What would make you do that, and do you think that's a reasonable step up in money?
I think it is. I think the Rally Art and the Evo are totally different types of cars. The Rally Art's a lot more comfortable, sort of easier to live with, so it's also practical. The Evo isn't any of those. On Australian roads, it is not the kind of car you want to drive to and from work every day. But if you're the kind of guy that loves to drive up twisty mountain roads on the weekend, or go to the racetrack a couple of times a month, it'll make it worthwhile. And I honestly don't think any of the competition, either from the Germans or from Subaru, match the Evo. As a base model, it kind of lacks a little bit of power. However, because of that tune that it has, a lot of tuners can easily give you a bit more power for not much more. So if you do end up buying a $62,000 base model Evo, spend another $5,000 on it and it'll get a lot more power than you do.
Thanks, Albor's. That was Albor's fella, and there you have it. Spend $5 grand, void the warranty, and have a lot more fun in an Evo. You can read the full Evo review and the Rally Art Lancer review online, download the specifications, add your comments, and even get a quote from a Mitsubishi dealer. Just follow the links on this page.